and welcome to episode 159 of Cinema Effect. I'm Liam, and I'm joined by the amazing Spider-Man Defense Force, Jaden.
How's it going?
Good, Bonnie. Across the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse, actually. Today, which is the second film in this trilogy, I guess. It stars Miles Morales.
Stars, Miles Morales.
What's wrong with that?
I don't know. He's a character, not the
Oh,
actor.
yeah, yeah, true. No, you're right. Stars, yeah. But
It
he's real.
stars Shameik Moore and Haley
Ellie
Steinfeld,
Steinfeld, yeah,
and it was
that's true.
directed by Joaquin DeSantos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson.
3 people.
3 people,
Wow.
but I think there was more like working on individual segments. Like they're the main dudes.
I can imagine, yeah. We're following him. We're back with him. We're learning of more people in this Spider-Verse. And yeah, it's an animated film. It's pretty crazy. And that's about it in terms of the synopsis. What did you think of this film, Jaden?
I think this film was phenomenal. Like really, I wasn't really too like I was not. I think I was similar to Zach and what Zach said in his thing, in that like there wasn't anything that was too overly exciting for me going into this film. I really liked Spider-Verse, the first one, but this one, I was like expecting a similar fun story, a really strong story as well. But kind of what was delivered was just endlessly, I don't know, kind of incredible. The film's had its praises sung to no end already. It's got a 9 on Letterboxd, which on IMDb, which is insane. It's the highest rated film on
Oh yeah,
Letterboxd.
highest rated film Letterboxd, yeah.
86
As
on
as
Metacritic.
as I think Everything Everywhere was when it first came out.
Was it?
Yeah.
So like it's I'm trotting on very well trodden ground here. Stepping on trodden, whatever the saying is. But yeah, no, I thought it was really great. I think there is kind of a drawback in the fact that it is what you said when we watched it, that it is such a part one, that like it is a lot of establishing for what's going to happen. But
Hmm.
no, other than that, very very strong.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I thought it was good. I had a pleasant time watching this film at the cinemas. I thought, to get it out of the way, the animation was obviously awesome. Like they used such a blend of different styles, and they somehow topped themselves from the first film. And the story too was pretty cool. There's kind of multiple stories and different segments of the story, some of which are more interesting than others. But I think overall the story was engaging, and yeah, it was just a really fun time. It was really a really funny movie and a moving film, even though it's 2 hours and a half. Never boring. So yeah, it was a pleasant watch. But as you said, it is like it is structurally like a really weird film. Like it is such a part one. It's I don't know. They set up things like stuff with Oscar Isaac's character, O'Hare, was it? Mike
Miguel O'Hara.
Miguel, yeah. Like the fact that he injects himself or whatever, shit like that. There's like a few setups that I kind of obviously meant for the second film, so it feels a bit incomplete in that way. But yeah, overall it was a good movie. We're gonna read out Zach's review just for the shit of it. So Zach said, "I was not excited to see this film, to be honest. I think Into the Spider-Verse is really good, but never cared for it in quite the same way as a lot of others. But man, this sequel blew me away. It's the most I've been engaged with a superhero story in years. Loved what they did with Gwen's character and the fact that they weren't afraid to include some longer dialogue driven and quite emotional scenes. The animation was stepped up. Oscar Isaac's character was sick. It seems they have a lot to wrap up in the next one, but I also think it's cool to sit with a really surprising cliffhanger like this. Stoked for Beyond the Spider-Verse 9 out of 10. I think you two are a bit maybe more passionate about it
Yeah,
than I am. But
yeah,
yeah, I guess we all agree that, there is a lot to wrap up with the cliffhanger. There's a lot to go off on the next one and finish and resolve, I guess. But yeah, it was still,
Hmm.
an incredible. I mean,
Um,
it was an amazing film, but I don't know if it was amazing. An
right.
amazing experience for me. Yeah.
Like it's an awkward place to start, but I think like while we're on it talking about the cliffhanger, like the like this feels like it was meant to be a 5 hour film that's been split into two, um, which is fine. But it's just that in the past, like with track records of films like of this case, where like it feels like this kind of story that was forced to be split just because of time constraints. The second one often hasn't had like the greatest reputation. Like you look at Kill Bill, Volume One and Volume Two. Volume One's better received than Volume Two. Or you look at Nymphomaniac Volume One and Volume Two. Nymphomaniac Volume One's better received than Volume Two.
Mm.
Um, so I just like if this can beat that curse, then I think this can make this whole kind of across and beyond films like phenomenal. But then again, like I think if Beyond comes out and it's a bit lackluster, even if it's still solid but not kind of doesn't meet what everyone's expecting, I think it will affect kind of the perception of this one as well. To be honest.
The thing I saw was like it was like a list where it's like trilogies where the sequel ends on a cliffhanger with the movie like releasing next year or whatever. And it's like The Matrix did this, like Matrix Reloaded,
Mm.
and then other films, Empire Strikes Back, kind of Two Towers maybe. So it does, yeah. This kind of movie does have a precedent, and you're right. I guess like big part ones like this are usually more well received. But there's also cases of like I don't know Harry Potter, I guess, where the second one was also you know fared as well, I guess, or better um, for general audiences. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see about Beyond the Spider Verse. But I have faith that it'll live up to this movie. All right, I guess starting with going on to the characters. Gwen was, as Zach mentioned, one of the bigger focuses of the film. How'd you feel about her kind of emotional arc and interactions with her dad and Miles and stuff like that?
I was surprised at her at like how significant she was as like a kind of she became a main character. Especially in the first half of the film. I was surprised by that. Actually, I thought this was going to just continue to be like Miles kind of orientated. And it still very much is, especially once he gets reintroduced and it kind of shifts back to
Mm.
telling about his kind of story. But like, I was surprised at how much focus she took at the start, and then how much it kind of the significance of her story that keeps coming back. I quite liked it. I think both Andy and Zach have said that it was kind of great what they did with her, but like I don't know, it was very strong stuff still. But yeah, like
Yeah, well, it wasn't a
I don't really
highlight
have
for me
anything to
or
really say
anything.
about it. I guess like other than like it was
Mm.
super solid in what it tries to do. In terms of emotion in the film, I guess maybe that's like the kind of core driver. But it still didn't really pull at my heartstrings too much.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
about
I actually feel pretty similarly. I thought it was well executed, and yeah, kind of cool that they added this extra depth to a character. But yeah, also it somehow wasn't like a huge highlight for me. It was just a cool part of the film. Yeah, that makes me think of that like the one scene between her and her dad at the start, where I feel like the animation just goes like off the walls in terms of like the expressiveness, like
Yeah,
in a good way, but also like in a kind of it's confusing in terms of the communication aspect of it, like what it's trying to convey, but like just visually experiencing it was crazy because they just go like I don't know, they like every time they cut back to the dad, he's like a different depth and different color and shit, and it's like it's almost a meme how like it changes every time,
yeah.
but it was also really awesome at the same time. So I'm like conflicted. But
No, I definitely felt that about her word as well. Like the expressiveness of it is like sick at the start, but then like as it goes on, I'm like, how like what exactly is each one trying to convey?
mm,
But also like I know some people placed emphasis on like the one where it's this really strong red and blue across him, and like it would like I guess that's is that meant to be the police or is that meant to be Spider Man? I don't know because red and blue typically represents Spider Man
all
in
right,
this fucking universe. Because like in the first film when Miles first meets Peter Parker, like his like the original one, like his perspective just from like that green and purple of the Prowler into the blue and red of Spider Man. So in this one, when Gwen Stacy's dad is when he has that kind of strong red and blue hue, I don't know if it's him like accepting like the Spider Man kind of part of like Spider Gwen, or whether it's like his police identity and like that's meant to be a commentary on that or some shit. Um,
right. Is that like at the end when he like
I think
accepts
it's in
her and
this.
stuff?
Yeah, I think it's in the second, in like kind of like the second big kind of discussion. Um, but yeah, like I thought it was super sick. Yeah, but like I think it did get kind of overwhelming, and sometimes yeah, I think it did lose a bit in its constant changing, like you said.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. We feel the same way about that. But yeah, they did use different animation styles, just like the first one. But it felt like everything in this film just felt like more. They I mean they even use like real life. Did they do that in the first one? Like use real life people,
I don't
inject that
think
into
so.
it.
I know.
Mm.
I don't think there was, because I think like the extent of the multiverse stuff in the first one was just like bringing, the other guys over, really.
Yeah,
But this goes
which
full, into the portal, and this goes into the Spider Verse, unlike the other one.
yeah.
You know,
I know they should.
yeah,
The titles are confusing.
yeah, because
Um.
in the first one you drag a few Spider Men across the Spider Verse, but now you're actually going
Oh
into it.
yeah, yeah.
It
What
goes.
is beyond the Spider Verse? What does that mean? How do you
I
go
don't know.
beyond?
They break it somehow.
No, yeah. So like in the first one, you the different side characters that we met, which was kind of a shame that they weren't in this one, but apparently they're going to be in the next one, as the end kind of hints at. They did have like different animation styles, but for the most part, it was just those characters who you saw like the Porky Pig, like Spider Pig thing, who looked different, but then the world was usually consistent.
Mm.
Um, but here, like the world, the animation of the environment changes. The animation of like all the different spider people that we meet has different variations to it. When we actually go into the Spider Verse, into 2099, I think it was into that hub.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, the animation hugely impressive, but sometimes inconsistent in terms of its messaging. I felt, but um, yeah, still kind of mind blowing stuff. Yeah.
I was actually kind of worried because like when they because it opens up with Gwen's world and it stays there for a while, and I was like, is this the new animation style they're going with for the entire film? Because like it's cool and all, but like it really fucks off like the kind of comic book styling that was so good about the first one. But then it obviously comes back, and I was happy to see that and all that.
What about Miles? How do we feel about Miles? We kind of get more depth with his character, with his relationship to his parents, I guess. Where I guess it's the same thing in most Spider-Man films, where the burden of responsibility for you being Spider-Man kind of drags away from his life responsibilities. Meeting up to his parents' expectations and shit
Mm.
like that.
I still think like one of the greatest things about Into the Spider Verse is not one of the greatest things, but like a fantastic little thing is his graffiti work that just says expectations with his outline
Oh
is
yeah.
phenomenal. And the fact he
Mm.
just mentioned that word, in relation to it without like properly realizing, it's bit expectations.
Yeah, great expectation. That's what it said, right? Great expectations.
His tag was just expectations.
Expectations.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
but
Yeah, I
yeah,
actually forgot.
I think the implication of that just in regards to, like teenagers in general is fantastic, and just in
Mm.
relating back to like kind of he is a teenager as well. And they make that pretty apparent in this film. I think they kind of hammer down that point that he is a kid, he's young,
Oh yeah, that
and
he's
everyone keeps on
15. Yeah.
telling him he's young. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I guess they didn't. He felt older in the first one. I don't know because they do hammer the point down in this one. But yeah. So I guess it makes sense that the parents are so kind of clustered around him because he's still a kid. I guess
mm,
I don't know. He doesn't want to be called that. But yeah, I forgot about his graffiti work. Or they do mention it in the film that he's doing the art subject at school. Um, I guess that wasn't in this one as much, but obviously, like when you're slinging around Brooklyn, you see the graffiti everywhere, and that kind of style is consistent um, with this one too. But yeah, Miles was also like the character stuff was good too. I think the mom was a highlight. Rio. I don't know. We just had like more in-depth conversations with her, and the main the main kind of philosophy that Miles like takes away with him, he gets from his mom on the rooftop scene.
mm.
Um, where she says like, "Don't let people feel like you don't belong," and then that kind of comes into it later. Um, so that was really cool.
Well, I guess
Um,
the first one had a stronger tie to the dad.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so shifting to the mom, this one is Yeah,
the dad and the uncle in the first one was the
yeah.
highlight, and then the mum in this one is more featured. Although there's still like kind of a side story with the dad. Who's like I guess going through the same thing Peter is like trying to be a good parent, which is an
I think
interesting kind of through line.
Miles delivering that kind of monologue about how he beat them all to Rio, it was brilliant, and like it's so. I think like one of the most heartbreaking moments is the revelation that it was the wrong universe, because like I don't know, I was like, oh, this is so great, and then he does all that shit, and then it's nothing. Like, fuck, you're never gonna like replicate that kind of, I don't know. I think I think it was disappointing that we didn't get to see like the spider, like the return of like those spider people that we saw in the first one. But like I think this new cast that we get is also really awesome. With the exception of Spider Punk. I hate
Oh really?
anarchists. They just piss me off because they're just fucking hypocrites. And even Miles points out in this film, like, he says something hypocritical straight away, and Miles points it out. And like he was just a shit character. I just hated
But he
him.
was British. You
Yeah,
love British people.
yeah,
You got a
fucking.
British flag in the back.
um, but I don't know. I thought the rest of them were all really sick. Especially Miguel. Oscar Isaac just keeps on popping up in Marvel shit. I mean, fucking Apocalypse, and
Oh
then
yeah, Oscar Isaac.
Moon
Yeah.
Knight, and then I think he had one other thing, and then this as well. Like, fucking loves doing it.
No, yeah, he does. He does kind of get around.
Yeah,
Although
but
yeah.
oh, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say like he never feels like the same as I mean, Josh Brolin's an extreme example, but like he never feels the same as other actors who feel like tied to their Marvel characters.
Yeah,
He somehow has a way of like moving to all these different characters and not, having one be like the main focus. But yeah,
I mean, Apocalypse is full makeup the entire time, and this is just a voice, so I think it's easier
yeah,
to make
it's
that
easy.
kind of
Yeah,
separation.
true.
Yeah, I think the. How did you feel about the inclusion of the real world stuff? Because like it is super jarring, especially like when it's not only taking clips, but you also have Donald Glover, like
Oh yeah,
making a full cameo as the Prowler.
Donald Glover was like the most jarring part for me.
Yeah,
It was still cool to see those flashbacks from other Spider films.
yeah.
Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Just because that's kind of always cool. But yeah, I didn't love Donald Glover's little cute little appearance, but
Mm.
yeah, it didn't bother me too much. I guess it was cool how they did like you know they included real life canon events as a part of their little demonstration on the diagram of all the different spider people. There's like 100 animation versions, and then there's the real versions that we've seen. I was like,
Mm.
oh, is that actually part of the same universe? Kind of, it's cool.
How did you feel about like all like the random shit that happens? Like all the random characters, like Peter parked car and the Lego one, and the ice cream and the little doll thing. Like, do
Oh
you
yeah,
like
that
you
was
know
cool.
you take that as part of the fun of the animation?
Yeah, so when Spot first went across, and Spot is like he's a really fun character, who kind of you know becomes a big force at the end. But yeah, when he goes to the freaking Lego world, that was hilarious.
Mm.
And when he goes through like where else does he go again?
Well, I don't know if you know, but like that last one that you see him pop into, like in the shop, like that's the Venom universe, and that shop
Oh yeah, okay.
is like one that like appears frequently in the films.
Oh, so that's the joke. That's why she was like not impressed.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool.
Uh, I think I think the themes that accompany each of these characters as well is super strong. Like Daniel Pemberton fucking knocked it out of the park with the first one, like really phenomenal stuff. And then this one again, um, like obviously like the Spider-Man 2099 theme has become like a thing on TikTok. But like even like the other ones, like the Gwen theme and Spot Holes too, is they're all bangers. Um, and I think it fucking just leaves um the music made for the film in the dust. Like, I think it really wasn't that impressive this time. Like nothing comes close to what Sunflower was for the original.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I feel like people are just kind of apologizing for it a bit because it's Metro Boomin, but I think it really wasn't that. It didn't add much to the film at all this time, unlike the way it affected the first one.
Yeah, the actual the songs used in this one are a bit weaker. They just kind of felt like they just kind of felt like background material a bit. And yeah, there wasn't like a super strong like core soundtrack song or anything. Um, but no, like yeah, the score was really cool, and there's like I guess there is themes, but there's more just like recurring like motifs, I guess, like musical motifs for Miles throughout the film, which you can kind of recognize, but like it doesn't come to my mind now. But
Yeah, I was surprised when I listened to Miles' tracks, on the soundtrack. I was listening to like the Miles like one, and it surprised me like what I was hearing because like this doesn't feel like what I was listening to in the film when it was kind of his
oh
moments.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
I guess kind of his strongest moments were like kind of plot beats. So I guess that's where they kind of got mixed up, and I'm sure like it's kind of worked into the big plot ones.
What about so the action scenes in this film? Um, obviously because it is such a part one. There's less resolution to the action scenes. There's not like in a a final boss fight where he defeats the villain or anything. Um, but yeah, the action scenes like the museum scene where they take down uh, the Renaissance vulture guy, the Italian Renaissance vulture guy, and the freaking either the Mumbai thing, the or what was it? Not Mumbai,
Mumbattan,
like what's that?
Mumbattan.
Mumbattan. That's right. Yeah. Um,
I
that
think
scene where they kind of rescue people.
that was an awesome sequence. I think the way that they used the world that they introduced was really fantastic, and like the kind of verticality of it.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that was really great. Um, and they do the same thing with 2099, where there's this whole like underworld, because things are just so clustered and stacked on top of each other.
Yeah,
But they really like utilize that just to go ham with the animation. Um, but yeah, I
yeah,
thought the action scenes were dynamic. They were exciting, fast paced, energetic, all that. Um, but like there is less kind of I don't know, like satisfying fight scenes. I guess it's more I'd, well, the first thing is that they're more kind of just like saving people. That's kind of the mechanics of the action scenes, but um, there's less like punch to them, I guess.
mm.
Um, which is fine. I'm sure the second one will have, will make up for it. But
Yeah. I think the main kind of one where you have an kind of antagonist protagonist like kind of fight is that kind of 2099 chase that ends with the train to the moon.
mm,
Which I think is superb, and I think probably like one of the standouts of the film. Um, just every like the dialogue leading towards it, and then like the kind of the comedic outcome of it, as through that kind of initial chase in the hub, and like you said, going to the underworld, and then just kind of building. It does a lot of world building for that place, while kind of moving the story forward and in this kind of action kind of tone. Um, I think seeing Miguel kind of fully, I don't know, unleashed, whatever you want to say,
oh yeah,
hyped up, or is
violent,
really
yeah,
intimidating. Um, and Miles beating them all is really fantastic because like
yeah,
you expect the protagonist to beat them all, but like the payoff with what was established prior to that, and about him being a mistake and all that shit, it makes it really, um, yeah, I think it's a super strong sequence, that one.
yeah. Um, well, to get to Miguel O'Hara, he is a great character. Um, and they kind of he's a necessary good type character. um he does these things that are not pleasant but ultimately good for the multiverse, I guess. but like the peak of his philosophy and of Miles kind of oppose each other in that Miles is the ultimate exception. He's the bane of Miguel's existence basically. Because like everything, like any problem to the multiverse is hugely personal to him because he lost his whole world,
Mm.
um, his daughter and everything. Um, and he's been down that road. So yeah, so Miles kind of, I don't know what's the word, not betraying, I guess, but you know, going against all the Spider People's backs at the end, was interesting because there's no solution that we know of yet, but he just kind of says fuck it, which I don't know. How'd you feel about that? Because it's kind of like you know it's brash, I guess.
Um, it's kind of what has to happen though. Like, um,
Mm.
I think every Spider-Man that we've been introduced to on screen would have done the same thing. I think I think Toby's, Andrew's, Tom's, I think they all would have done the same thing. Um, of I can do it differently. Um,
Yeah,
so like I don't know, like it didn't feel like a betrayal. I don't think it felt like a betrayal on the audience's behalf. I think they very much set up this kind of Miguel's kind of ideology um as extreme, but like it definitely is bold, I guess, character wise. Not
yeah,
character wise, like in universe wise, yeah, sure, it's bold, but like I think for character, for the audience, and for film development, I think it's all necessary and not too shocking.
okay, yeah. No, yeah, that makes sense. It's just that it doesn't. I don't know. Like he's obviously wrong, so it's just weird. But I guess the whole thing is that he'll magically kind of figure it out. Which
But but Gwen's dad quitting being captain is evidence that it's not wrong, because it can they don't have to die. The captain doesn't have to die, and Gwen's dad was evidence of that, and that's why at the end she was all like, oh my god.
yeah, but that doesn't change it though. You
What do
know.
you mean? It does change it because he's not captain anymore, so he won't die.
But he was never going to be captain then.
Huh?
He was never going to be captain then. She
No.
only thought he would be captain.
Yeah,
The fate was
but it
written that he
means
wouldn't
that
be captain.
no, because it's just that no, because she would have had to, because like that, like it's a canon event.
She
So it
thought,
would have had to happen, but then it didn't happen because he chose to
yeah, she
quit.
thought it would be a canon event that her dad would die, but then it was actually fate that he wouldn't be captain. You
No,
know.
but it's a canon event in that it's every Spider-Man has to experience, the captain dying.
Damn, these guys are just endangering whole universes
I
now.
know, right?
Um, but like, where's Gwen's mom? Or is she just like? Do they talk about that, or are we just like supposed to accept that she's not a part of the world?
Um, yeah, I don't think she's because in the flashback scene, it's Aunt May that you see.
Oh,
I don't, I
okay.
don't think I don't think her mom's there either. So I don't know, just died, I guess, or left.
Hmm.
Let me find some trivia. That's what Zach would usually do at this point. This film ended up being the largest crew on any animated movie ever, with 1,000 people working on it. Um, there was apparently 240 characters and takes place across 6 universes. And this goes against what Phil Lord and Chris Miller, like the creators, they told Sony originally that this would be roughly the same size as Into the Spider Verse. But then I don't know, I guess it kept on growing and it blew up to the size that it required, and it's at the 2 hour 20 minute runtime. It's the longest American animated film as well. So
Oh
this
wow.
really is like kind of a massive production in that sense. Um, something else, something that I noticed as well, that rating here is fun. But did you see that Miles's roommate was playing the Spider-Man game?
Oh no, like the
Yeah, it's
PS
like the
game.
PlayStation game. Yeah,
Wow, that's funny.
but I think that like PlayStation character appears in the Spider-Man hub later in the film as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool. But why does Miles have a dorm room when he lives in the same bloody part of the city? You know?
I think it's just a boarding school
Yeah, but like, why is there a boarding like? Why does he go to a boarding school in the same city? It'd be like 15 minutes
because it's a
away.
really prestigious kind of school. I think that's something. I think hold on. I think I read somewhere that like the parents won the lottery and that's why they sent him to that school.
They won the lottery.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I think then like oh wait, let me find it. I don't want to talk out of my ass, but I think the number they won the lottery with might have been 42, which is like the 42 that the 42 where the spider came from, and it's kind of like a recurring number.
well, that I think is a reference to Hitchhikers, right?
To what
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
is it? I haven't seen that. I don't know.
Oh, it's just like, you know, the answer to everything to life. It's
Is
42.
42? Oh
Yeah,
really?
it's
Yeah.
the big joke of the film. Um, but yeah, okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, here it is. Yeah, it's the lottery number that won him the money to go to that academy, the spider's number, the train station that he and like that he is chased by at the by the prowler in the first one. There you go.
Right.
Maybe
Okay.
Hitchhikers was correct in that uh, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, we had a little cameo from J. Jonah Jameson.
Mm.
I'm
In the
pretty sure.
Lego world, right?
Yeah, yeah. When Spot's gone across the universes, the multiverses, I guess, the universes.
Mm.
Um, yeah, we get like a little rant from him, which was cool. Okay, the
Um,
10th Spider-Man film. Damn.
really? Nah. There's one, two, three, four,
This film is the 10th Spider-Man
6, 7, 8.
related film to be released in theaters.
Mm. Okay, because I know I'm pretty sure there was like some dodgy 70 ones that came out.
Yeah, maybe that's what's counting. So,
No, no, it's like the 10 are like the main ones that you're thinking of, like from Toby onward. But I think there's like some dodgy 70 ones that is not counting.
okay, right.
Yeah. Um, Visually, like I think the first one had a lot more to grip on, like in terms of like iconic frames, like especially with like the leap of faith kind of shot.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, this one I think tried maybe too hard to try and get one in because I think like the natural one would be Gwen and Miles as they kind of sit upside down, and they look
Oh yeah.
across. But then at the end of the film, although it's a fucking sick shot, but it feels forced. Is when Miguel is sitting in front of that welcome sign in the rain and the neon. Um, yeah, at the end, it shows it like 3 times, I swear, and like it spends time on it.
Oh yeah. You mean
Yeah,
when, at the world when he goes to
yeah,
what
when
he
Miguel
thinks
gets
is
to
Miles' world?
yeah,
What actually what is, I guess, but he's not there.
yeah,
I guess so. Yeah, I thought the one that you were gonna talk about was the one where Miles like jumps off you know the vertical bullet train thing, which kind of resembles
yeah,
the
I
same
guess.
thing in the first one. But yeah, the welcome thing, I guess, could have been trying to be iconic as well.
Right, it
Yeah,
went so hard though. Like I think it worked, but like it feels forced.
yeah.
Yeah. Let me hit you with some of the names that appear in this film. I don't know if you do know or if you didn't know, but like
Oh yeah, got
so outside of the main ones, like Jason Schwartzman, he voices the Spot.
right. Yeah,
You picked up on that?
I
Yeah.
knew that from Andy's review.
Oh, did
But,
you? Oh, yeah.
like, I knew Jason Schwartzman was in it, but I didn't know who he played. Yeah.
Daniel Kaluuya was Spider Punk. I think that was pretty obvious because that was just that was just his natural speaking voice.
All right.
If you
Okay.
hear him in an interview, that's what he sounds like.
I
You
didn't
picked up
pick
on
up
that?
on that one.
No.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. There you go. Karan Sony was Spider Man India. He was also in Deadpool. If you want to,
Okay.
if you remember the text drive on that. You got Andy Samberg was Ben Riley. Uh, Jack Quaid was the Lizard or Peter Parker. Like Gwen's Peter.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's cool.
Um, Amanda Stenberg. I don't know if she's really any exciting, but she was like the computer Spider Man, the one that sits in a chair, but
Right.
then like gets
The VR thing.
yeah. She kind of looked like her character, to be honest. Like I saw her and like I was like that looks like Amanda Stenberg.
Oh
Stenberg.
yeah, it
Um,
does.
I don't know. There's a shit ton of names here. I know there's probably more
Oh,
that I'm missing.
Shea Wiggum was the dad. Mashallah Ali was in this.
Wait, what? Isn't Brian Tyree Henry is the dad? Oh, you mean
George
George
Stacy.
Stacy? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
this guy's been in some shit.
I was
Um,
surprised to see that
hmm.
they casted someone else to do the Miles in the Earth 42 instead of just having Shameik do both of them.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
Mm.
I I definitely um guessed that though when he came up and was like, it wasn't like the young guy. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be an ultimate version of him, yeah. But getting to that, that is like, dude, we chose the best question of the week, most accurate question of
Oh
the week
yeah,
of all
and
time.
that was completely accidental. Like who knew?
Yeah. But like this is a capital C cliffhanger right here. This is like puts all of the cliffhangers that we're gonna mention to shame.
Mm.
Um, because it ends with like two cliffhangers. One with um Gwen teaming up with the originals from the first movie, and um some extra people like the Indian one, the punk guy, all that.
Mm.
And then also with Miles about to blast out of this fucking punching bag that he's tied to with his alternate uncle and himself. Yeah, gonna do some nasty shit to him. So yeah, big cliffhanger.
Do you think he's gonna bring his alternate self to save his universe?
Like team up with him.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. That could be an arc that the second one goes through. Yeah, yeah.
because like that universe is missing a Spider-Man, so maybe he's gonna teach Miles to become a Spider-Man. You know?
Oh fuck yeah, dude. That's a good point. That's a good point. And he fucked up that universe. Like, well,
Mm.
not him, but the spider did. No. So maybe he has to make up for it. Yeah.
Um, I will say that I think um, so one of the biggest things I had an issue with actually was I don't know if you felt it, but I think it's been a common complaint is that the dialogue was hard to understand at multiple
All
points
right.
throughout the film. Um, like I know people complain about Tenant. I never had an issue with Tenant in theaters or on any subsequent rewatches. On this one, I really did struggle with the dialogue at some points. And I know, like, I'm not sure if the version we watched was because I know that they have sent out a re-edited version to some American theaters already. I'm not sure if that's happened more worldwide, but since I saw that news, so I don't know if we got the old version or the new version. Either way, I think it was still a struggle to hear a lot of the dialogue. So watching it with subtitles is definitely going to need to be something that happens.
Yeah. I think like earlier on in the film, I did have some issues.
Mm.
Maybe with Gwen as well. I think that was a bit iffy.
I
But
think Spider Punk lost a lot of the dialogue for me
oh
too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That was well. That was like the fucking accent as well.
maybe
But
it was just like nah, it wasn't the accent. I think it was the sound mixing.
you reckon?
Yeah,
No, it was totally the accent as
the
well.
accent's very straightforward and easy to understand. Like because it wasn't even like a like one of those weird ones that have. It wasn't like Cockney or anything like that. It was just I think it was just like straight up
You trying to say it wasn't a weird accent?
London roadman type thing.
Uh, no, yeah, I did. I have some issues like hearing some words.
Yeah,
It wasn't major or anything, but yeah, Punk Man and Gwen, I think, were a bit iffy. Yeah,
yeah. I think that's it. Right? Anything big that you missed?
yeah. I don't think there's anything that comes to mind.
Let me go through the camera acting, mise en scene.
Mise en scene,
What does the A
uh,
stand for? I forgot.
cinematography,
Um,
animation,
editing,
action,
lighting, sound,
sound mixing,
sound mixing. We covered that.
accents,
Accents. Yeah.
all the actors that are in the cast,
Yeah, I think we got everything. Yeah.
production. Yeah,
Mm.
no, we covered everything.
Yeah. Oh,
We
actually,
could,
do you know when the sequel's releasing? I guess is one thing.
well, I think it's next year,
Is it?
and I think that justifies the cliffhanger a little bit, like it kind of
Mm,
does with Matrix Reloaded, because it's kind of like, oh yeah, big cliffhanger, but but the next movie comes out in a year, so it's all good, kind of thing.
right. You see, okay, that surprised me because apparently, like they still have like a lot of shit to record in terms of voice. Um, and like
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm.
this one was in production for a long time, and I think one of the trivia's actually said that it was finished 13 days before the premiere. Um,
Oh
so the fact that they've still got shit to record, is interesting. But I guess that means that a lot of the animation is must be done.
yeah, maybe. Well, they've had a few years to work on these films.
Mm,
Because also I read in the trivia that it was supposed to come out earlier, like 2022 or something. But COVID delayed it
yeah.
a bit, so they got extra time with that. Um, but yeah, you did mention that Haley Steinfeld hadn't recorded her show yet, which they had like years ago for this one.
Yeah.
But they'll be fine. They know what they're doing. But yeah, excited for
As
that
long
one
as they
next
don't
year.
delay it on me, as long as like, because when you set up a cliffhanger that big, you can't say it's coming out in a year and then delay it again. You know
Oh yeah,
that'd
they
be a
have a
gut
they have
punch.
a big obligation to actually
Yeah,
stick to their release date this time.
I know.
Okay, we talked about release date as well. Yeah,
There you
the next film. I think we have covered everything. Yeah, all right. We'll go to verdict. Um,
go.
look, I
Oh wait,
thought.
wait. Andy's
Oh,
review.
oh no,
Oh, oh
we totally didn't almost forget
no.
Andy. All right. So Andy wrote in a review for Across the Spider Verse. We're gonna just sandwich these reviews in. It's crazy how irritating and annoying the multiverse storytelling in EEAAO was, but here it's clearly breathtaking in my eyes. I agree with Zach about what they did with Gwen's character. It truly makes me fall in love with the hidden persona behind Spider Girl. Jason Schwartzman's villain Spot actually had more depth and convincing motivation than Kingpin from the first film, and I am eager to see how he comes out to haunt and seek revenge on Morales in the next chapter. I also love the fact that there was a magnificent piece of meta narrative with Oscar Isaac's Miguel O'Hara character, who is basically like a rant fan letter that is openly pissed off about Miles' encounter with the spider bite from Into the Spider Verse. Morales was Morales, but always wonderful. The entire nature of this second entry in the Spider Verse series evolves brilliantly so well since the previous film, aesthetically and story wise. Too soon to be giving it full marks considering the ultimate cliffhanger at the end. But oh my, it is such an electrifying sequel all the way from start to end. Bring on Beyond the Spider Verse! Exclamation mark. 8 out of 10.
I think his point as well on everything everywhere all at once is very valid as well.
Mm.
I think something that we all talked about when we brought it up on the show is that it feels like that multiverse storytelling is fucking too condensed into one and just too rapid and just too overwhelming and too much. And to see it kind of expertly dealt with here is fantastic. Very good point, Andy.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess maybe some people who didn't like you, maybe, or like some people who didn't enjoy everything everywhere as much, maybe got what people who liked that film got from this film, you know. But that's just really funny that two big multiverse films came out in sequential years and are massively popular on Letterboxd. It would make an interesting comparison. Yeah, but I definitely prefer this film. But okay, we'll get to final verdicts now. This film was, as I said, really technically really great. I think there's just a few too many bumps and issues for me to get it over the line. So I'll give it a 7. But I still had a engaging, fun time. It's like a controversial.
Yeah, that it's that's like a seven is good, but that's still a surprisingly low
Your
score to be
face was
honest.
hilarious right there.
Yeah,
So,
I was expecting that. Yeah.
how about yourself?
I'm giving it a 9. Super strong.
Oh, 9 out
Yeah,
of 10? What?
9 out of 10. Yeah. I feel like I've been giving him out too freely
willy
recently.
nilly.
Yeah, I feel like I need to
Yeah,
reel it in, but I think that yeah, this is an incredibly strong film, and I think this deserves it.
yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll like it more when Beyond comes out and it's a full story. We'll see. That
Mm.
is a big factor. Moving on to news chat. Where we don't have much this week again. We're pretty lackluster with the news these days. But we got Disney. They're pushing their slate back. You want to chat about that? What's going on there?
Um, I think they've pushed back a majority of their major films. Um, the kind of one I saw in discussion in relation to most was Avatar. In that the final film will now be released in 2031 instead of the original release date of whatever ridiculous year that was as well. I think many of them. I think many of the Marvel films have also been pushed back. I think the Avengers films have been pushed back a few years as well. So it seems like a lot of their slate was affected, and I think it is. Is it because of the writer's strike? I don't think it's entirely. I think the writer's strike is part of the blame, but I think just I don't know other production reasons is the other factor. But Zoe Saldana commented on it where she's like, "I was 27 when I first filmed for Avatar, and she's gonna be like 50 something
Wow.
when the final one releases." Um, so that's an interesting passage of time.
Oh yeah, she would know all about Disney releases at this point, being part of
Yeah, three
Guardians and
Marvel
stuff.
films. Oh, well, more than that, five Marvel films.
Mm.
Fucking shit tons of avatars. Yeah. I think she's one of the highest grossing actors, or maybe the highest actually.
Yeah, she
Um,
would be.
you
She's just
know,
in all the major fucking Marvel blockbusters.
I mean,
Yeah.
two avatars already gives you like 4 billion, and then
Mm.
yeah, in Endgame, Infinity War, Guardians, yeah, she's fucking earned tons of money for the studio, man.
They don't really, no one really mentions her in like the league of like great actresses, but she is like one of the most well-earning actresses. Yeah. Um.
I don't know if her pay reflects that, but yeah, in
mm.
terms of box office, definitely.
Um. And I also watched a little trailer from Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things. We got Emma Stone over here. We got Mark Ruffalo, and we got Willem Dafoe. Um, it's like it's like a Yorgos Lanthimos, female Frankenstein kind of thing. It's based on a book. Um, but yeah, it's like a quirky female Frankenstein kind of thing. Although it does look very funny and very interesting. Um,
I I got to call bullshit on that because I feel like the trailers for his films always make him seem funnier than what they are.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually kind of true because I think the lobster trailer was funny, but I didn't
Well,
find the
Lobster
lobster
trailer
that
was
funny.
very funny, but then like you watch it and it's one of those dark comedies where it's just like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, you're right about that. But um the trailer had other redeeming aspects. It kind of had this like this Baz Luhrmann kind of um CGI kind of look to some of the shots where she goes into this fantasy land and it looks really amazing. But the film is about her like development as a human, I guess, being born from this scientist from Willem Dafoe.
Oh,
Yeah,
so she's Frankenstein's monster. Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, it looks like an interesting film. I don't. What other land? I think I've just watched The Lobster to be honest. Although I think I'm forgetting one. But he's an interesting filmmaker.
Hmm.
I don't think I love him, but I think he's produces some interesting stuff. So hopefully it's good. Looking forward to it. Moving on to what we've been watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I guess I'll start. I watched a French slice of life film. It's called Things to Come. Which I believe I think Andy's seen this film. But it's a film from Mia Hansen Love, who also did Eden, which is a very good movie about DJs. Um, but it's like there's all these like melodramatic points um, that are happening in her life, but the movie's essentially about her reacting in a very, um, you know, I guess blase kind of just move on kind of way, kind of a seize the day kind of thing. It's just a very nice film. Um, she just walks around a lot of parks, and she's a professor of philosophy. It's very, cute and European and shit. Um, so it's a very relaxing French film, but yeah, very light on drama. So yeah, that's what I watched. What did you watch?
I watched this little animated film called Blood Tea and Red String. And it's a stop motion film that this one person worked on. She did the entire thing by herself, apart from the score. The score she got someone else to do. It took her 13 years to make. Um, and it shocked me because I was watching it and I was like, this feels like something straight in the 1980s, just aesthetically. But it was released in like 2006, I think. But like when you take into account the 13 years, you're like, oh yes, makes sense. Um, there, it's animation that it's stop motion, but like the models are like kind of like the like felt kind of things, but like I don't know. Um, it's really off. I don't know what to call. It's like the anti Mr. Fox. It looks like Fantastic Mr. Fox, but like kind of demented. Um,
Okay.
but it's really brilliant, and it's so clearly like just a creation of just passion of like obviously something that takes 13 years is going to be. It's kind of like retelling of like a dark fairy tale. Um, about like kind of the gluttonous rats against these like kind of happy bird like folk and like their kind of obsession over this doll.
Oh,
This all sounds weird, but like it is weird, and it's dialogueless, so like some of the story will get lost. But it is just like it feels like a rewarding watch because you know of the effort that was put into it and the outcome that has been achieved. Um, and like it's definitely not a film for everyone. Um, it's like a really like kind of disturbing film in terms of visuals and kind of like the like what is kind of being presented. But it's also really sick. Animation is awesome. Story is you know present, but like I said, it's hard to pick up on that sometimes because of the dialogue, lack of dialogue. But it is really kind of a cool achievement. Um, yeah,
cool. How'd you watch this film?
it's on Plex.
Oh
I
yeah, it's
think
on
I think
Tubi as well.
I think Guillermo del Toro tweeted about it or he retweeted about it some time ago, and
Oh, I see.
it kind of went on my radar. So I thought it was kind of like a popular film, but then like I think it's only got a couple thousand views on Letterboxd, so
Yeah,
it kind of
4.9
surprised me.
k. Yeah,
What is it?
4.9 thousand.
Yeah, it definitely deserves way more than that, considering like the kind of effort that has gone into it, in my opinion. Um,
Cool. Sounds like a cool little folk horror fairy tale thing. All right, now we move on to a question of the week. We respond to what you've written in to us. Um, so our question of the week this week was
last
what
week,
is last week? Oh, this week.
I think Zach says last week he used, doesn't
I guess yeah. I guess we asked last week. Yeah.
he? Mm.
Um, but our question of the week is what is your favorite movie with a cliffhanger ending? What an amazing question. Um, and Luke said Infinity War, the ultimate cliffhanger. The snap was a fantastic way to make people excited for the next film. And then he said, I can't think of a better cliffhanger.
And it's a super strong answer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the first ones that comes to mind. Yeah. Zach said, well, the Empire Strikes Back exists and is the correct answer. Looking at Star Wars, The Force Awakens has a great one too, and Infinity War is top tier for sure. But another great one is the ending to The Dark Knight. Gordon's narration, Zimmer going ham with the score, the visual of Old Mate riding the bat cycle thing, so hype. A cliffhanger which leaves a lot unresolved, yet is super satisfying. That's true. That's a cliffhanger. I guess because he's running away and shit.
Mm.
I never thought of it as a cliffhanger, but Interesting. Um, and then Andy said, sort of has similar vibes to Zach's response for the Dark Knight ending, but my favorite cliffhanger ending has got to be from John Wick 2. John Wick running away as he gets slapped on with a $14 million bounty hits just as hard as Batman getting chased by the cops. Certainly got me psyched for the third installment and then later the final chapter. The most original cliffhanger of all time is 1969's film The Italian Job. I thought I would inform the audience about this fact. There you
Another
go.
really solid shout from Andy. I
Oh
think
yeah.
all the shouts this week have been really solid, actually.
Hmm. Are you talking about John Wick or The Italian Job?
John Wick.
John Wick. Have you seen that? The Italian Job? No. Well, now we know it ends with an amazing cliffhanger, so that's good. And then, Aiden said, Thelma and Louise crossed out. And
You get the
then,
joke there.
yeah, and then I do love the ending to The Thing.
Another solid answer.
But yeah, well, that actually might become my answer now. No. Oh, yeah, I guess that's a cliffhanger. Yeah. Um, yeah, some good answers. Some good answers. What's your answer?
Um, I don't know. I was kind of looking for, and I was like, I don't know. These are all kind of disappointing in comparison to what's been mentioned. But then, like, I stumbled across a Sherlock episode called the Reichenbach Fall. I'm pretty sure this ended with the cliffhanger, but I watched it so long ago that I can't really remember if it did resolve it. Um, but I think what makes it so kind of to kind of speak about it spoiler free, but to what makes it so kind of great was the kind of build up and pay like the build up to it. This I think this was the season 2 finale, and the game that Moriarty had been playing all season. You know, getting to this point, and you just the show in general has been fantastic. So like Cumberbatch's performance as Sherlock in this kind of final moment, um, and everything that happens is really brilliant. And it's a great way to adapt um, kind of the original kind of Rack and Back Fall story from Conan Doyle into like the modern kind of context as well. Um, but then where it kind of leaves you um, is also pretty great if I remember correctly. I hope it's a cliffhanger if I remember correctly.
Oh, I don't. I've seen that, but I don't remember. Okay, that's cool. TV shows. Didn't consider that at all, but yeah. Um, Mine is well. I don't know if this is exactly a cliffhanger, but I guess the Two Towers is one that sticks in my mind. Like I still think Two Towers is the best Lord of the Rings film. Um, but ending with that shot of Mordor when they're when the three boys are walking, across the hills.
The
That's really awesome.
boys.
The boys, yeah. We got Frodo, we got Samwise, we got Old Mate, Gollum. The club, the boys.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know if it's exactly a cliffhanger, but when I searched it up, they told me it was a cliffhanger. The people. So
Hey, if they told you, it's good enough.
okay, well we did that question justice collectively.
Mm.
I think. Our question of the week next week. We're doing Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind, but Andy suggested an amazing question. Just amazing. It was, who's your favorite villain of the week in film and TV? Um, so yeah, we're just gonna steal that one. So basically, like, who's your favorite minor villain that appears? Rhino in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, or some shit. Something from the Flash or the Arrow
Yeah.
or something.
For Spooky, who's the best Bones killer or whatever detective show that he's watching?
Mm,
Castle, NCIS, whichever one.
literally villain of the week for TV shows. Yeah.
Literally.
So yeah, get around that question. This question pertains to this movie, but that's okay. It's all good.
Mm.
But next week we're doing Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which is on Prime Video
Stan?
Entertainment. I don't think so. I don't think
Pretty
it's.
sure it is.
I beg to differ.
Is it not on Stan? What the fuck? I thought it was. Oh shit, maybe it's not.
Exposed.
All right. Yeah.
Exposed.
Exposed.
Um, yeah, doing that next week. Jim Carrey film, amazing artistic film that we're gonna do. And yeah, this has been episode 159 of Cinema Effect. We appreciate everyone for watching, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.